Cameroon, Rear Admiral Jean Mendoa. Please, a round of applause as the match come forward to collect the gift. Next is the Chief of Naval Staff, Benin Republic, Captain Jean-Leon Olatunji. He has told me that I should refer to him as Omo Dudua himself. Next is the Chief of Naval Staff, Congo Brazzaville, Rear Admiral Rene Nganongo.
Recording in progress.
Next is the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff, Ghana, Commodore Maxwell R.N. Next is the Deputy Chief of Naval Staff, Senegal, Captain Mamadou Ndiaye. Next is the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff of the Gambian Navy, Captain Sambo Barrow. Representative of the Chief of Naval Staff, Pakistan, Rear Admiral Masood Khurshid. Okay. Next is representative of Chief of Naval Staff, South Korea, Commodore Byung-Ju Yu. Representative of the United States Coast Guard, Lieutenant Eric Fielding. Next is a representative of Indonesian Navy, Colonel Otto Resalino Maniagasi. Okay. We will be delivering this to the representatives as they are unavoidably absent. Representative of the Italian Chief of the Naval Staff, Captain Giuseppe Radadiccio. Representative of the Equatorial Guinea Coast Guard, Captain Juan Nsue Esono Nchama. Next is the representative of the Brazilian Navy, Rear Admiral Rodicley Cantarin. And lastly, the representative of the European Union, Rear Admiral Jürgen L. Okay. Now the next range of, so we'll give it to him. Next round of presentations is to former chiefs of defense staff and chief of the naval staff and icons of the Navy who, despite their very busy schedule, have been very patient with us and have been with us throughout the duration of this conference. We would be presenting memento to our own icons, starting with Vice Admiral J.O. Ainla. Next is Admiral I. Ogoit. Next is Admiral O.S. Ibrahim. And to Vice Admiral U.O. Jibrin. Thank you, sir. We shall now be making a presentation to the representative of the Minister of Agriculture, the Director of Fisheries, Alhaji Ibrahim Abubakar. And the final presentation is to the special guest of honor for today's event, the Honorable Minister of Defense, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Kanas. We inadvertently missed out on one of the presentations, which is to the representative of the Director General, NDLA, Colonel Bako, retired. The Chief of the Naval Staff, Uganda, told us. The next presentation is to the Chief of the Naval Staff of Uganda. And finally, to the representative of the Chief of the Naval Staff of Tanzania, Brigadier General Mohammed. That concludes the presentation. Thank you very much, the Chief of Naval Staff. So please, a round of applause for our host. I want to say that for the countries I missed out, it's no way to take away from how important you are to us. Like they say, you save the best for last. Thank you very much for your understanding. We'll now immediately move to the presentation of the conference communique. At this juncture, it is my singular honor and privilege to most respectfully invite the Chief of Policy and Plans, Naval Headquarters, Rear Admiral S.S. Garba, to the lectern to present the communique. The Chief of Policy and Plans, sir.
the special guest of honor, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Sali Magashi, ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Kana. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Alhaji Ibrahim Abubakar, our amiable Chief Host, the Chief of the Naval Staff Nigeria, Vice Admiral Awalu Zubairu Gambo, heads and representatives of navies here present, the Director Navy, Mr. Kayode Julius Fashino, former Chiefs of Defense Staff, former Chiefs of the Naval Staff and icons of the Nigerian Navy, Principal Staff Officers from Defense and Service Headquarters here present, General Officers Commanding, Flag Officers Commanding, and Air Officers Commanding, Commandants and Commanders of Tri-Service Institutions, Military Formations, and Autonomous Units here present, members of the Diplomatic Corps, very senior military officers, both serving and retired, our distinguished resource persons and delegates, heads of paramilitary and security agencies here present, captains of industries and corporate friends of the Nigerian Navy, gentlemen of the press, our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you to read the communique of the Nigerian Navy 2022 International Maritime Conference, which held here in ONNE Port Multipurpose Center Auditorium from 30th to 31st of May 2022. As part of the activities to commemorate the Nigerian Navy 66th anniversary celebrations, an international maritime conference was organized at the ONNE Port Multipurpose Center Auditorium, ONNE, River State, from 30th to 31st May 2022. The conference was aimed at proffering viable solutions to the myriad of challenges confronting navies in Africa in pursuit of sustainable maritime security and effective maritime governance in the continent. Accordingly, the theme of the conference was optimizing international collaboration for maritime security and sustainable socio-economic development in Africa. The conference attracted over 300 delegates and 900 participants from 29 countries, including heads of navies and coast guards in Africa, the European Union, and other allied friends of the Nigerian Navy from Brazil, South Korea, China, and the United States of America, among others. Other participants include eminent, retired, and serving senior military officers, accomplished scholars on maritime security, captains of industry, international maritime partners, as well as relevant local and international maritime stakeholders. This year's conference, which is at its fourth iteration, for the first time, expanded the proceedings beyond member states of the Gulf of Guinea to the entire African continent, including states along the East African coastline. The conference discussed two main papers titled Building International Collaborative Capacities for Sustainable Maritime Security in the Gulf of Guinea and Effective Maritime Governance in the Gulf of Guinea, a Panacea for Sustainable Blue Economy. The presentations were followed by interactive sessions during which regional subject matter experts discussed the topics extensively, after which the audience made their contributions. Thereafter, participants were divided into two panels and allocated thematic areas and posers to deliberate on. The thematic areas for the two breakout panels deliberated after the first paper were strengthening cooperation with international partners for enhanced maritime security and Yaounde Code of Conduct and prospects for a more effective security mechanism for the Gulf of Guinea. On presentation of the second paper, the panels deliberated on Africa Integrated Maritime Strategy as an instrument for harnessing regional blue economy potentials and prospects for collective action against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing in African waters. On completion of the 2 days extensive deliberations, several resolutions were reached towards improving maritime security in the African continent. The 36 draft resolutions for consideration are as follows. 1. Gulf of Guinea states should ensure the operationalization of the maritime zones within their respective regions in line with the Yaounde Code of Conduct framework. Gulf of Guinea states should facilitate the speedy domestication of the legal framework for the Yaounde Code of Conduct architecture and ensure that it is binding on all member states through appropriate enactments by parliaments of member states. Gulf of Guinea states should adopt the underlisted focal points for the Yaounde Code of Conduct as a means of providing strategic direction for enhanced cooperation. These are legal, finance, maritime domain awareness, education, training and exercises, blue economy, and operations and shared awareness and deconflictions. Gulf of Guinea states should develop and strengthen their surveillance capabilities in order to enhance effective information sharing among navies of the Gulf of Guinea. As part of their ship renewal initiatives, African nations should leverage the shipbuilding capabilities of member countries such as Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa to enhance their platform holdings. African states should carry out flag showing visits with vessels locally built in the Gulf of Guinea to showcase their shipbuilding capacity. Navies of African states should consider acquisition of dedicated training ships that will be tailored towards their operational needs, particularly at the tactical level. African states should leverage the comparative advantage of each country, particularly in the areas of platforms, manpower, resources, and training for efficient cooperation. African states should put in place mechanisms to ensure that resources which are illegally harvested or exploited in the region, such as stolen crude oil, fish, and other resources, are confiscated and returned to originating countries. Heads of Guinea joined to lobby their governments to establish special courts to prosecute cases of piracy, sea robbery, and other related offenses to ensure speedy dispensation of maritime crimes while emplacing measures to build capacity and sensitize the judiciary on relevant legislations. African states should identify and prosecute sponsors and collaborators involved in maritime crimes to serve as deterrents to would-be perpetrators. Gulf of Guinea nations should espouse appropriate implementation strategies and action plans to commit member states into redeeming their financial pledges to the Gulf of Guinea Commission. Gulf of Guinea states should empower the Gulf of Guinea Commission to harmonize the various maritime security architecture into a unique model and also effectively superintend over the various blocks under a central jurisdiction. Gulf of Guinea states should consider implementation strategies for the provisions of the Yaounde Code of Conduct essential to building trust among nations, such as Article 9 on embarked officers. African states should formulate national blue economy policies that are uniform in sustainability across the continent. African states should consider establishing national marine spatial planning authorities or agencies. African states should engage in focused blue economy research and development. African states should establish integrated national marine or maritime databases. African states should delineate marine protection areas in their respective maritime domains. African states should strive towards promoting on land for effective ocean governance at sea. African states should invest in science and technology to address the challenge of sea blindness in the continent. African states should institutionalize periodic conduct of maritime security exercises with other navies within the continent. Gulf of Guinea nations, Gulf of Guinea navies should consider closer interaction and collaboration with navies on the East African coastline towards a wholesome Africa collective maritime security architecture. Gulf of Guinea states should deepen bilateral engagements, raise awareness, and sign memoranda of understanding to check IUU fishing in African waters, especially in the Gulf of Guinea. Each Gulf of Guinea state should evolve its own blueprint for combating IUU fishing based on the International Plan of Action against IUUF. African states should consider establishing fisheries protection squadrons as obtainable in Ghana to combat the threat of IUU fishing in their maritime domain. Heads of navies and coast guards of African states should ensure that legal reforms relating to IUU fishing is included as an agenda item during the next meeting of the Working Group 1 Legal scheduled for 6th of June 2022. The main organizing committees for future Nigerian Navy International Maritime Conferences should ensure the conferences commence with X-raying the level of implementation of resolutions reached at previous conferences. Gulf of Guinea states should activate working groups 2 and 5 of the Yaounde Code of Conduct pertaining to finance and blue economy, respectively, in order to derive maximum benefits from the blue economy potentials of the region towards the attainment of the overall objectives of the Gulf of Guinea Commission. Gulf of Guinea states should deepen dedicated funding mechanisms to support effective conduct of maritime security operations in support of the Yaounde Code of Conduct. Gulf of Guinea states should explore funding opportunities available from international donor agencies, such as the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes under the Global Maritime Crimes Program. African states should explore alternative and innovative sources of funding, such as proceeds of forfeitures from the prosecution of crimes, fishing levies, and private sector funding for enhanced maritime security. Gulf of Guinea states should set up a trust fund for contributions from member states, international partners, and other stakeholders to fund their activities. Gulf of Guinea states should ensure that host countries of the various maritime security zones honor their commitments and undertakings to the Yaounde Code of Conduct in terms of infrastructure and logistics support to zonal centers through national budgetary provisions. The Gulf of Guinea states should seek appropriation of funds by their parliaments in the annual budget of the operations of the Yaounde Code of Conduct. And finally, the Gulf of Guinea states should articulate and present their specific operational needs, financial support required from international partners to enable operationalization of the zonal maritime security regimes. Our distinguished special guest of honor, ladies and gentlemen, these are the resolutions that we have reached. Thank you very much.
That was the conference communique by the Chief of Police and Plans, Rear Admiral S.S. Garba. May we give him another round of applause. On our programs, we ought to have the closing remarks, but we'll have the vote of thanks, and the closing remarks would signify the end of the 2022 International Maritime Conference. It's on this note that I most respectfully invite the chairman, the main organizing committee, Rear Admiral PC12, to the lengthen to know the vote of thanks. Chairman, sir.
The special guest of honor, sir, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Osari Magashi, most ably represented this evening by the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar Khan, the representative of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Director of Fisheries in the Ministry, Alhaji Ibrahim Abubakar, our chief hosts, the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Zubairu Gambo, Admiralty Medal, heads of navies and representatives of heads of navies who are present here, our most able former chiefs of defense staff and chiefs of naval staff who are present. You kindly excuse me as I stand on the already established protocol, sir. It's often said that no duty is more important than appreciating with thanks and acknowledging the help of others. It's for this purpose that it's expedient for the organizing committee to express its profound gratitude to all who, in one way or the other, have contributed to the successful conduct of this year's International Maritime Conference, themed Optimizing International Collaboration for Maritime Security and Sustainable Socio-Economic Development in Africa, which was organized as part of Nigerian Navy's 66th anniversary celebrations. I therefore feel highly honored and privileged to give this vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion on behalf of the organizing committee. I shall begin by giving thanks and praise to the Almighty who has made it possible for all of us to be here today. It is solely by His grace and mercy that this wonderful conference was planned and organized without much hitch. We also remain thankful to the Almighty for granting us journey mercies from our various jurisdictions and countries of residence to participate in this year's conference. Next, you must permit me to most profoundly appreciate our esteemed special guest of honor for the entire conference, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, who most ably was represented by the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Magashi, retired. We remain greatly indebted to the Honorable Minister for always identifying with the vision of the Nigerian Navy and his continued support whenever we came calling. Let me also especially appreciate His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State, Barrister Wilson Wike, for his invaluable and tireless support to the Nigerian Navy. As the host state of many naval formations, bases, and training establishments, the service continues to enjoy and appreciate the hospitality of the good people of Rivers State. I must, however, single out for recognition the important role of the royal fathers of the state, particularly the paramount ruler of ONNE town, for his matured leadership style that has ensured lasting peace within the kingdom. Let me at this juncture pay special tribute to the Chief of Defense Staff, General L.E.O. Irabo, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General F. Yahaya, and of course, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal I.O. Amao, who, despite their Herculean and very busy schedule, found time to grace the opening ceremony with their esteemed presence. I also deeply appreciate the representative of the Inspector General of Police and all other heads of ministries, departments, and agencies who have remained with us throughout the event. Worthy of mention is the representative of the DG, Nigeria Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Colonel Bako retired, and the Director General of the MASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, who joined us this morning. Your presence at this epoch ceremony is a testimony of is a great honor to the Nigerian Navy family and has undoubtedly added glamour to the entire proceedings, for which we are profoundly grateful. Our glowing thanks also goes to all our distinguished invited guests, especially the heads of navies and coast guards across Africa and beyond. In particular, I recognize the contributions of the heads and representatives of the navies of Cameroon, Benin, Senegal, Congo-Brazzaville, the Gambia, Ghana, Indonesia, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Tanzania, South Korea, Pakistan, and Italy. Others are Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Equatorial Guinea, and the United States of America, Angola, Brazil, and France. I must, however, recognize the special role played by the navies of Kenya and Tanzania on the African Eastern Coastline, who joined us in the conference. Similarly, we thankfully acknowledge the role of the European Union, African Union, and the Economic Community of West African States, as well as her sister sub-regional body, the Economic Community of Central African States. Furthermore, this conference would not have been the same without the support of our numerous sponsors and partners, some of whom participated in the exhibition that held on the sidelines of this conference. I must, however, especially thank and identify the role of the Institute of Security Studies, who partnered the Navy with the organization for the conference. We look forward to better collaborations in the nearest future. Our special thanks equally goes to our distinguished, very senior and revered colleagues who have found it necessary to grace and contribute towards the success of this intellectual forum. We remain grateful for the immeasurable contributions of the icons of the Navy and all our eminent senior naval retired officers who continue to serve as our resource base in the Nigerian Navy. I assure you all that the Nigerian Navy remains grateful for your continued sacrifice and national service. It is our prayer that the Almighty will continue to bless you with sublime health and continue to refresh and strengthen you and your respective families. Importantly, I especially thank our erudite presenters, discussants, and moderators for their depth of research, intellectual content, and for agitating our minds, thus setting the pace and tone for robust interaction during the conference. Your decision to visit Nigeria from your respective countries of abode to attend this conference despite your statutory responsibilities further attests to your individual and collective commitments to a more secured maritime commons. We are all so much better informed regarding the place of collaboration towards our collective maritime security, as well as the issues of maritime governance to reap the blue economic potentials within African waters. We remain deeply indebted to you all for your candor and commitment, which contributed so much to the success of the colloquium, despite the very short time allotted to your preparation. I must also thank members of my committee, composed of the main and local organizing committees, who prepared and organized this conference. Please be encouraged and note that it's not yet over, as other aspects of the Nigerian Navy's 66th anniversary celebrations are still unfolding. On that note, I especially recognize the unique role played by the Chief of Policy and Plans, under whose guidance this committee conducted our activities. Sir, we thank you most sincerely for providing the leadership and direction to making sure that we succeed in this task. I must also especially thank principal staff officers of Naval Headquarters, administrative authorities, especially the Flag Officer commanding Eastern Naval Command, who also doubled as the Commander Task Group for the Regional Maritime Exercise, which is still ongoing as we speak. Commandants and commanders of Nigerian Navy formations, directors, and other senior officers of the Nigerian Navy, and indeed all the distinguished participants at this conference. Your presence, commitment, and robust contributions throughout the deliberation has been most commendable. For the management of the Intels group, particularly the facility managers, the caterers, as well as other support staff who worked tirelessly to ensure that we are all well rested and fitted, thus ensuring we concentrate on our deliberations during this conference. We say thank you. I'm most certain that this facility will feature strongly among potential venues for consideration in subsequent Nigerian Navy events. Let me not forget to thank the Amiable Band and, of course, all the security personnel availed us by sister armed services, as well as the police, explosive ordnance disposal, dog sections, and other operatives who reinforced our own security personnel to secure these premises and our immediate waters. We remain grateful and pray the Almighty continues to protect you all in the discharge of your duties. The special guest of honor, sir, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I cannot end this vote of thanks without giving our immeasurable thanks to the man who ensured that this year's increments, which is at its first iteration, as well as providing the ideas and legacies, building on the legacies of the founding icons of the Navy, are sustained and improved upon. the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awas Rambo, Admiralty Medal, who is our chief host. Sir, your inspirational leadership and guidance throughout this period has been most exemplary. May God bless you richly and continue to guide you. In the same vein, we remain grateful to the resolute support of the Naval Officers' Wives Association under the able leadership of the National President, Ajia Nana Aisha Gambo, for vigorously pursuing and supporting the Nigerian Navy in these anniversary celebrations through numerous social projects, seminars, and medical rhapsodies across the Nigerian Navy. Finally, to our friends and members of the Fourth Estate of the Marine, the press, including the online media platforms who have always been with us to tell our story. Your immense contributions and assistance towards the success of these entire celebration activities cannot be overemphasized and is duly appreciated. Evidently, after a successful engagement like we've had, our collective spirit is greatly lifted. As we close, I urge us all, particularly the heads of navies and coast guards and all other beneficiaries of this conference, to live by the goals and resolutions that are reached at this conference, particularly by the bond of friendship that we have reached as we engaged each other here. So I hope that we will bequeath a more secured maritime domain for Africa, which generations unborn will be proud of. I assure this distinguished audience that the Nigerian Navy, under the able leadership of the incumbent Chief of the Naval Staff, will continue to ride the waves and bring victory ashore always. I thank you all for coming, and as we go back to our various destinations, may God Almighty grant us journey mercies in all our endeavors. Once again, I thank you for your presence and your contributions. God bless you all, and onward together.
The vote of thanks by the Chairman, Main Organizing Committee. It is now time for us to listen to the closing remarks by the special guest of honor for today's event, the Honorable Minister of Defense, ably represented by Permanent Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Abaka Kana. It's on this note that I most respectfully and humbly request the Chief of the Naval Staff to invite the special guest of honor to the lectern to give the closing remarks. The Chief of Naval Staff.
The representative of the Minister of Agriculture, Natural Resources, Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Chief Host, the Chief of Naval Staff for their country, Nigeria, former Chiefs of Defense Staff here present, former Chiefs of Naval Staff here present, our distinguished Chiefs of Naval Navies and Coast Guards from around the world here present, senior military officers. Permit me to recognize two special people here present. One, my former Minister of Health, I'm a physician, Vice Admiral Jibrila Ayinla, who eventually became the Chief of Naval Staff. And of course, my directing staff in the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Guru, Rear Admiral Adeshola Adesope. I now read the speech of the Honorable Minister of Health, my boss, Major General Bashir Magash. I am sincerely delighted at the honor of making these remarks at the closing ceremony of this important International Maritime Conference, which has brought together global maritime leaders across the world. I am glad that for 2 days we have deliberated on diverse matters relating to influences affecting security in the Gulf of Guinea and the African continent's maritime environment at large. I'm gratified at the huge assembly of resource persons, maritime experts, and heads of navies attending this conference from across the globe. This includes very important personalities involved in maritime policy administration and operators as well as captains of industry within the maritime sector. This attendance attests to the importance and urgency for synergy by all stakeholders towards security of the maritime commons. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to commend the Chief of Naval Staff for the pragmatism and realism he brought to bear in the 2022 conference, which in its second edition. I also consider the theme optimizing collaboration for maritime security and socio-economic development in Africa as apt. Bearing in mind our present maritime security realities within the continent, we must come to terms with the fact that gone are the days when individual nations allow the quest for respective territorial peculiarities impinge on call for synergy by all states for common security. Rightfully, the Nigerian Navy's initiative at conceptualizing this biennial conference and regional maritime exercise must be applauded as a critical platform to adopt critical strategies to address common challenges facing us all. Threats to maritime security have posed huge challenges that negate potentials of the Gulf of Guinea region in enhancing well-being of states and their people. Furthermore, the vast potentials in the Gulf for enhancing the people's well-being are constantly undermined by multifaceted domestic as well as cross-border threats which constrain investment and economic development. Major threats like piracy and attacks on strategic oil and gas installations have become predominant in the region with negative consequences on economy and overall well-being of Gulf of Guinea states. In order to give effect to the grand strategic direction provided by the ECOWAS and ECAS, regional navies need to enhance existing cooperation on maritime security operations. The cooperation will facilitate implementation of agreed protocols and promote maritime law enforcement in the Gulf of Guinea for enhanced maritime security. This will no doubt boost investments and enhance economic development for the well-being of the people. Permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to state that Nigerian Ministry of Defense remains fully committed to supporting the aspirations of the Nigerian Navy in promoting collaboration towards improved security of the Gulf of Guinea's maritime environment. To this end, we are greatly encouraged by the enthusiasm and strong participation by key regional stakeholders across both ECOWAS and ECAS, as well as the Gulf of Guinea Commission. Equally important is the experience shared by our resource persons and special invited guests from various maritime organizations and navies across the globe. Be rest assured that the federal government of Nigeria, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, will do all in its powers to provide landmark decisions and strategies adopted at this conference. Indeed, the resolutions reached will get the most attention of Mr. President and, of course, the Minister of Defense. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for the honor done to my country for your attendance of this conference, and sincerely appreciate the Nigerian Chief of Naval Staff for providing this important platform for engagement. While we look forward to a successful conclusion of the sea exercise, I enjoin you all to take time to enjoy the hospitality of River State, which indeed is a treasure base of our dear country, Nigeria, before you return to your homes. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I thank you all, and it is my privilege and honor to declare the 2022 International Maritime Conference closed. Thank you.
Navies will reconvene by 2100 hours, that's 9 p.m. at the restaurant, the VIP room at the restaurant. Also, for those of our guests that will be leaving tomorrow, there will be two vehicles to convey us by 0600 hours and by 1600 hours, depending on your flight time. For those of us that are behind, please note that there's a boat ride, tour, and polo game by 8 a.m. tomorrow. There's the exercise workshop and debrief at the Intel's conference hall by 2 p.m. tomorrow. And of course, there will be the ceremonial sunset and ceremonial sunset dinner, which will commence at 5 p.m. at the Nigerian Naval College, ONNE. Vehicles will be on hand to convey our guests to the venue tomorrow. Heads of navies will reconvene. Heads of navies, African heads of navies, please, will reconvene by 2100 hours at the VIP room at the restaurant. So heads of navies and heads and representatives, heads of navies and their representatives and